Mission 1. Your job is to give first aid to a girl with hypothermia, frostbite, a sprained ankle, and a nosebleed. To complete this mission successfully, first introduce yourself.
Michael Kirkwood, I'm certified in first aid.
Then get them inside a safe location. Second, you need to call 911. Then place hot packs in their armpits and wrap them in a blanket to warm up their body temperature.
Next, you will need to wrap the sprain. When wrapping, be sure to always wrap towards the heart. In this case, you will want to start at the foot and wrap up towards our leg. After that, follow the RICE procedure. Rest, ice, compress, and elevate.
Then have them sit up and use gauze to stop the nosebleed. Finally, wait for the paramedics to arrive. Mission 2. Your job is to give first aid to a girl who has severe bleeding and an impaled object in her right hand. Be careful. There is a high chance your patient could go into shock. To complete this mission successfully, first call 911, then introduce yourself to the patient.
Okay, I'm Allison Riches. I am certified in first aid. Am I allowed to help you?
Yeah.
Next, put on rubber gloves to treat the wound, and then gently wrap gauze around the impaled object. Do not remove the object because it can worsen the bleeding.
If you start to see bleeding through the first set of gauze, rewrap the patient's hand while still keeping in mind of the impaled object. Remember, don't remove the object. If the patient continues to bleed out, then we must go to our last resort. You must add a tourniquet to the patient's arm. Make sure it's nice and tight, that way it will cut off all blood flow.
If the patient does happen to go into shock, you then lay them on the ground and elevate their legs. After completing the following step, wait for the paramedics to arrive.